Hey everyone, and welcome to Metastic Films Reel. This is BlackwingShura, and today I'm coming at you with a Gishki deck profile. This was requested by fellow duelist Shadow Crow, and so this is my Gishki Lock deck profile. So this is pretty much the first of its kind in terms of it being a Gishki Lock deck, so let's get into it. First of all, we're running one Gishki Gigas. This is the main card of the deck. The idea is to use this effect over and over again, so you're going to be paying life points and drawing cards, and that's basically what this deck is centered on. So one of him. 3 Neremanas. This card is extremely useful in terms of looping the play because you get to special summon Gigas from the graveyard and use him as well as a tribute for ritual fodder. They're both level 10s, so you're going to be able to make rank 10 XCs. It's also a spellcaster monster, which is incredibly important, as I'll show you later on. And as well as that, it's got a monster quick effect negate, so this is also useful in terms of locking down our opponent. Then we're running one Gishki Grimness, which is used in conjunction with the 2 Gishki Abysses. So basically, Grimness searches an abyss from the deck. So Gishki Abyss adds one of our 6 search cards. So it's extremely useful and necessary to thin out the deck. And it's also one of the main combo cards. I'll show you the play that we make with Gishki Grimness in the combo aspect of this deck profile. Then we're running 3 Gishki Shadow. This card allows us to add our Gishki Aquamirror from our deck to our hand. 3 Gishki Vision, which allows us to add a Ritual Gishki from our deck to our hand. So these cards are our search cards, very important. 3 Focused Aquamirrors. This card allows us to add any Gishki monster from our deck to our hand, extremely useful. And during the end phase, you can banish it from your graveyard if you control a Ritual Gishki monster, and you get to set a Gishki Aquamirror from your deck or grave directly face down to your field. Gishki Aquamirror is at 3, of course. This is incredibly important because this is how we get our monsters on the board. So this is basically the key spell card of the deck. It also allows us to reuse our ritual monsters which have hit the graveyard, shuffle Gishki Aquamirror into the deck, and add this one to our hand, these ones to our hand. This is extremely great in looping the play. 3 Salvage. This card allows us to add our Gishki Vision and our Gishki Shadow from our graveyard to our hand so that we can keep on searching through our deck. Great card. We're running 1 Monster Reborn. So basically the idea with Monster Reborn is that you would summon an Abyss and then Ritual Summon, Link Summon an Elmirage, and then you get to Monster Reborn Gishki Abyss from your graveyard and get his effect off again. Alternatively, you could also send a Gigas down for a Link Summon, and then bring him back to use his effect again, draw a card minus life points. We're running 1 Deep Sea Area. This card also allows us to help thin our deck out. Basically, we banish a Sea Serpent monster, which is one of our search cards. We add another search card of these monsters to our hand, and we get to search even more. Running 1 Moray of Avarice. Basically what you want to do with Moray of Avarice is either banish your Grimness, your Abyss, or let's say a Miss Starboy if you have him on the field. And then you get to draw 2 cards. Very good, because this is one of our draw cards. It helps thin our deck. Speaking of draw cards, we're also running 3 Tokusanu Yojin. This card is basically one of the most fun cards to play in this deck, because we always are going to have a level 10 monster to send to the grave from our hand or field and draw 2 cards. So this card is extremely great for thinning our deck, getting more resources to our hands, and looping plays. Then we're using 1 Soul Ogre. Basically, what Soul Ogre does is that it helps us to utilize our trade-ins for even more draw power. And if you reach the ideal end board, then you're going to have a Ogre on your board as well. We're running 3 Upstart Goblins, very self-explanatory, to help thin through our deck, draw more. Into the Void, same story. One Day of Peace, same thing. Terraforming, which allows us to add one of our 2 field spell cards from our deck to our hands. So Chicken Game, obviously this card allows us to draw another card. That's great. And finally, one of the most fun cards of the deck, Secret Village of the Spellcasters. So this is going to be able to block our opponent's spell plays. This is because we are going to have 1 or 2 Neramanus on the field, which of course is a spellcaster monster. So we're going to have Spell Negs. The main deck is basically solid. My extra deck is a little bit maybe, it could do with some tweaking, but it's also fairly solid. And the side deck, of course, I'm not an expert on the current format, but I'm sure you can play around with it if you want and edit it how you see fit. To get into the extra deck, we're running our 2 fusion targets for Super Poly, which is in our side deck. Yeah, obviously Super Poly is a great card. Yep, our Mirage, that's for our Monster Reborn play. Nightmare Phoenix to get rid of a pesky spell or trap. 2 Mistar Boy. Basically, Link summons are not extremely needed in this deck, like most of the Link summons here. But it helps us kind of get stuff to the graveyard to recycle using Aquamarine. So it's mainly just a thing that we do mid-game, mid-turn. 2 Marinsis Anemone. Likewise, we don't use her effect usually unless we're having a kind of like a bad hand. So we just want to go into these cards to get our stuff to the grave so we can reuse it. But finally, this is the Link summon monster that we're actually trying to reach, which is the Bow Goddess. Basically, we're going to run up her attack points to something crazy using our Tarantula. And we're going to have a spell card Neg, so that we can basically block our opponent from playing spells or monster effects. Then we're running, of course, Super Dreadnought Gustav Max. This card allows us to burn. This is, of course, more of a going second kind of thing. And this deck is going first, but of course, you might have to go second, as most opponents will want to go first. And so that's where this will be most useful. So just burn for game if we don't have enough attack points on the field. Super Dreadnought 81. This card, to be honest, like this is probably not one of the most useful cards in the extra deck, but it helps stay afloat if we have an extremely bad field on our first turn, which is kind of unlikely. And then the big one, Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Juggernaut Leap. This card obviously also, if we're struggling to get the attack points necessary for the OTK on the second turn, we go into him by using one of these. And then Tarantula, the most useful Xyz card in the deck, because going first, we're trying our lock combo, and hopefully using his effect to add attack points to our Bow Goddess using the life point difference between us and our opponent. We're running 1 Pain Gainer and 7 Sins. This is just basically if we're going second and we want to get rid of our opponent's monsters, because they also have effects that help you clear your opponent's board in terms of monsters. Then getting into the side deck, we're running 1 Royal Decree. Basically why I'm running this card is for trap-based decks, obviously. And more importantly, if our opponent is running like 3 evenly matched or something like that, this card will be able to block that evenly matched, which of course could completely wreck our board because we only have a safety net against spell cards and monster cards. Or monster effects, I should say. Mask of Restrict, likewise, Lava Golem is the biggest problem as well. In terms of it's able to burn us for 1,000 life points, and we're trying to get as low as possible. So 2 Lava Golems kind of kills us, but yeah, 1 could as well. So if your opponent is a tribute or tribute our side of the field, Mask of Restrict is very useful. Of course, these are going first side deck cards. This is a going second side deck card. Super Poly, obviously, very good for clearing the board on our opponent's field. Harpy's Feather Dust, the same thing. Lightning Storm, same thing for clearing our opponent's field on the second turn. Necro Acromora, same thing. This is one of the best ritual spell cards in the Gishki archetype. Basically, with this one is it's just a kaiju essentially, and you lose life points, but it's very worth it. You also get to manipulate your grave, so you can get Zeal Gigas' effect off and send an opponent's card to the deck. We're running one Called by the Grave. This card obviously most likely should be used on a going second, because we don't want to mess up the consistency for the lock going first, but you could also run it if your opponents are running like a lot of Drolls or Dimension Shifter. So yep, very useful card. Same thing with Crossout Designator. You mainly want to side these in going second. Troll and Lockbird as a target for our Crossout Designator, and Dimensional Barrier, which could also shut the deck down going second. So this is also a good target for Crossout Designator. That completes the deck list. I will be showing you guys the combo. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll get into the combo. Cheers.